Okay, I've wanted to give you an update on how to submit your project to Kaggle, and also let you know that because there have been some issues with Kaggle, I'm removing the requirement to submit to Kaggle. So you still have to do the write-up, and I've altered the write-up. I'll post this to discussions and announcements also, but you can answer these questions. You can describe the Kaggle environment even if you don't submit your notebook to Kaggle, just by looking at the Kaggle environment, trying it out. The feature selection, the write-up number 2, you can do that even if you don't submit to Kaggle. And then same with network performance. Simply describe, if you don't submit to Kaggle, you really can't answer this one question here, but you can then just describe what changes you made to your notebook and how it affected the results with the test data in the notebook when you do that. So those are your requirements. Now let's look at how to actually submit this to Kaggle and some things. So a couple things to remember and a couple changes, an error to fix. So again, Kaggle requires that we use their folder and not our folder. So you want to not use this GitHub folder, but use this Kaggle folder here. There's 2 different Kaggle folders. And so down here, you want to uncomment this line which says use the Kaggle folder as your data folder, and I'm going to comment this line that is using the GitHub folder here. And a lot of you did that. The problem is that the Kaggle folder, they've changed the Kaggle data set since in the last few months since I last ran this. And so this is what the new Kaggle folder has to do. And again, I'll post this to the announcements also. So you have to make sure you, instead of just saying /input, it has to be /input/PetFinder adoption prediction. That's where the data now is. Okay, so once you've made this correction and you have the data folder set to the Kaggle folder, not the GitHub folder, then everything should work, assuming that now when I run this now in outside Kaggle, this won't work. If you're in Colab, it has to be the GitHub folder, but now I'm getting ready to move this over to Kaggle, so I made those changes here. So I'm going to go to this spot in Kaggle. I've signed up for the PetFinder adoption stuff. Now that the competition is actually closed, so you can't actually earn any money with this, but we can still do some submission stuff here. But in order to do that, we have to move this notebook from Colab over to here, and in order to do that, we're going to have to download this notebook and then upload it into Kaggle. So I'm in Colab now. I'm going to go File, and I'm going to I'm going to download this IronPython notebook, so this first option here, and I'm going to save it somewhere. I'm just going to save it to my downloads folder here for this. Okay, so it saves it there. Now I'm going to go into Kaggle, and I'm going to look at the code area. That's where you put in your notebooks. So again, I'm in the PetFinder adoption area. I've signed it up so I can see my submission. So I've registered for this. If you haven't already, you should do that. Okay, then I can go into data. Oh, not data, code. Go into code, and this should be our notebooks here. And I want to create a new notebook. So again, code, new notebook. It'll open up and create a new notebook with some basic code in it for us. Okay, so it created this basic code here for us, and again, you'll notice that the input here is an input.petfinder adoption here is set for us. But we want to bring in our notebook here rather than their notebook. So I'm going to go under File, and I'm going to go Open Notebook. And that'll let me drag or drop or browse. I'm going to browse and go to, I've just downloaded that folder to my download folder here. I'm just going to grab it and upload it here. Okay, so it took a sec, but it should upload now. A couple things you have to check. One is you want to make sure you turn the internet off here. We don't need internet, and you shouldn't use the internet here. And then you should be fine. Now, one other thing you might want to check, I think this link tries to grab the YouTube video. I'm just going to delete that link also. I'm not sure if that's a problem or not, but I'm just for safety to make sure this works correctly. I'm going to do that. Now, this works just like our normal notebook. We can go through and we can run our code here. I can actually do run all this code just to see it run. And then I can watch and make sure there's no errors in it. So it seems to be running now, and again what I want to watch is that it pulls the data in correctly, and this is where we were getting the error before, way up here where we're trying to set up the training data, no, way up higher even here, where we're reading in. And again, we want to make sure our Kaggle folder is set to this and that our data folder is set to the Kaggle folder, not the GitHub folder. And then it should tell us how much data is in our different parts here, and then it should go through and run all this sort of stuff. It should then do the training. That's got down to the training. Here, as I set up my network stuff, I can again change it. I can actually do all of my development right here if I want. And then here it's run through and done some simple training. I just have a real simple network here, and it's not training very long. And again, here is it where it's creating the submission, or no, it's evaluating it, plotting my results, and creating the submission file here. And so it's created the submission file, and here it should show. This is the just the little part of the submission file. So that assuming this should showing that you're actually getting some data, some pets, and some adoption speed predictions here, that means your notebooks work correctly. So you want to save your notebook. Click up here and hit save. Give it some examples. Version 1 on March 19th. And hit save. And again, keep this to save and run all commit. Now this will take a little bit because it will actually run through your whole notebook and all the training while it's committing it to make sure it's all working correctly. So you can kind of watch it down here, and it will be running through your notebook and doing all the training. So again, if it might take a couple, 5-10 minutes to do all the training here. Now while it's running, it will actually show you really quick highlights. So epoch 7, epoch 8, so it's going through the training here, and so it's kind of telling me a little abbreviated view of it going through the notebook, so I know that it is going through the notebook here. And then eventually it'll run through the whole notebook. So once it's done running, it will have saved it, and you're ready to submit this. So to submit this, I'm going to go back to the PetFinder Adoption Challenge. At the end of the notebook, there's actually a link to it you can do, or you can use the back arrow. I'm just going to open this up in a new tab so to see this. So we're going back there. So once we're in the back at the PetFinder adoption area, you should see my submissions here. Go under that, and you should see your submissions. And this is my most recent submission here that has been completed. Okay, and so in submissions you should see it, and I just noticed I forgot a point here. So it's showing me my submissions, but these are ones I did earlier here. So I'm going to go back to my notebook here, or I could go to code. Let me show you. So if in this notebook we're in kind of edit mode here, where we're editing the file, we're running it. We don't want to be in this to do submissions. We want to be in our notebook, but not in edit mode. So you want to probably go back to code here. And you may want to make sure you save this notebook here. Now, one thing I've noticed, I've given it a weird name up here. I probably want to give it a different name, and I saved it. So maybe I'll save it. Tom version recorded. And again, if you haven't saved it, make sure you're saving it, and it'll run and submit the whole thing. Now, I have already saved this. This is under version 1. Because I renamed it, I'm going to just save it again. Okay, so I'm done saving it. Now I want to get out of edit mode and go into notebook mode. So again, I'm going to go here back to the code view for this. So in PetFinder for any competition or any in Kaggle competitions like this, I didn't mean to go there, sorry. I want to go to my PetFinder competition stuff. So I'm going to go back here and find PetFinder. I've actually bookmarked it and I can actually follow the link from this earlier thing. So I'm just actually going to go there to save some time here. Okay, so here's back to PetFinder. This is where I get to from following any of the links in the notebooks here. And again, there are two main places you often go. Code will let you look at your notebooks that you've created and saved, not only yours but other people's notebooks. So if you go to code, you want to look at your work to see your notebooks, and then the leaderboard will show you submissions, and you can also see your submissions here. So again, we're going to go to code, we're going to go to your work, and again, this is the version I just saved 2 minutes ago, and so I'm going to click on that, and oops, I've got to click on it here, I guess. And I'm not going to edit it, but this is kind of my view mode here, so I'm not going to click on edit mode, but I can just see a view of the data, and if I scroll down I can see the output and stuff like that here. And then I'm going to click on here and do submit to competition. So again, you've got to go into your notebook and then submit it. So again, you can update this. This all looks good, and I'm just going to hit submit, and it'll submit it to competition. Now, to see how your kind of score is with the competition here, we're going to go back to PetFinder. And again, we had been looking at code and then your code under this. Now we're going to go back to the leaderboard, and then under leaderboard you can look at my submissions. Those will be your submissions here. Now, because this is closed, your submissions won't be published, so no one else can see them. So the public score will be 0, but the private score is what you would have scored on this competition here, so you can see and compare. So you won't actually show up on the actual leaderboard in an actual competition. You would show up on the leaderboard and you would get to see where you were on the leaderboard here. But again, you can kind of get an idea here just by scrolling through and see, of the 1,000 people who've entered, where your score is. But again, you have to go to my submissions and see. So I'm getting 27% as my private scores. Let's see how high you can get your score up in Kaggle. Okay, hope this helps.